So tell me again, this is corn husk with inside Virginia tobacco?
Tobacco.
Oh. Oh, and that's a big one? Wow, that's a really big one.
Please buy only one. 2,000 jet. 2,000 jet.
2,000 jet.
Okay. Very good.
Very good? You guarantee very good?
I make.
You make. Number one?
I smoke, I sell.
Okay, I get it. So, where are the temples, Dave? What are we doing in a market? Well, the reason we go to look at a market when we come to a new country is it really shows the cultural side that you won't experience in tourist spots. Let's face it. This is a market for the local people, and here you can see how they live on their day-to-day basis. In a lot of countries, hot countries, Southeast Asian countries and Indochina, they will start their day at the market very early, getting what they need for the day. Fresh produce, meat, fish, bags and bags and bags of rice if they need it, as you can see. Staple here in Myanmar, of course. And one of the primary ways of transportation for the locals is a motorcycle again, as it is in many other countries, though you don't see as many as you do in, say, Indonesia. So here's a bunch of local tourist items. Pretty cool looking stuff. A lot of bronze, a lot of hand painted. Really neat, something to bring home as long as you're not worried about the weight in your luggage, which I was. So this is the part of the market where they're selling to the tourists a little bit more. It was nice to get away from the smell. It was a hot day, and the fresh fish and the produce and such, it sometimes can smell a little funky. So as you can see, there's shades up everywhere because of the sun, trying to keep things a little cooler. And the amount of pottery and different items here is incredible. So now we're going to go to the Shwesandaw Pagoda. Amazing. So the only word, I was staggered when I saw this, because you turned the corner behind a stucco wall, and there this was, and I was completely unprepared for it. I didn't know what it was like. And this is the only temple that really looks like this, that's solid gold on the outside. Though they do call Burma or Mynamar the Golden Kingdom, and I think now you can see why. So to go to this temple during the day is really a great experience. You get to see the people just carrying on with their regular life. This is early in the morning. They are there worshiping, meeting, doing what they would do as though you are invisible, which is really wonderful. I was just about the only tourist there when I was there in off season, and I really recommend that. Now this is the most glamorous temple from the outside by far. We're going to go to 4 temples today, and I'm going to take you inside the other 3. This one there's no real inside to go into, so it's just a giant stupa, not a temple as such. Though it's considered a temple because of the temple grounds, but the main structure there is not accessible for tourists at this point in time. That being said, it's a must-see when you're here, needless to say. Make sure you've got charged up batteries, because the days are long and they're hot. It was almost 40 degrees the day I was here, and you don't want to miss a thing. Now, I didn't really notice these little ladies over here to the right, because I'm shooting, in general, the astounding structures and architecture. But they noticed me, and I'll show you what happens in a minute. It was one of my funniest moments traveling. Who's shooting who, I guess is what it could be called. Though you feel like you're invisible because they're not talking to you, it doesn't mean that they're not noticing you. And there's the white marble we walk on, not burn feet. And a couple of kids just walked right over it oblivious. So funny. Had I thought for a moment, I would have loved to have gotten a picture with all those ladies, but they were very shy. The brave one came up and was walking along with me, videotaping me with her phone, which I thought was funny. This next temple is called the Ananda Temple. They call it the Westminster Abbey of Bagan. As you can see, it is nothing at all like the Golden Shwesandaw Temple. It's been completely restored by the Indian Archaeological Institute, and it's outstanding. It's amazing to think that this is like 900 years old, this place. And it's still functional. They're still coming here worshiping every day. The diversity of architectural types really surprised me when I was here. There are similarities in all the pagodas and temples, but some are just from different periods in time, radically different. I saw nothing else that looked like this, with all the gargoyles and the Burmese lions mounted on the parapets. It was amazing. And in every entrance was a 30-foot golden Buddha. My goodness. Let's take a look inside and see what we can see. Now, the thing to know about pagodas is they're four-sided in just about every case. So in every side they have an entrance that's a mirror image of the other entrances. One entrance will sometimes be more detailed, but inside they look identical. So you'll see the position of the Buddha's hands here. All the Buddhas, all four 30-foot tall Buddhas, one at each entranceway, has their hands in a different position. And this supposedly is to guide you to nirvana. This, of course, is the end of the ultimate journey for any Buddhist. These golden Buddhas were absolutely awe-inspiring, as was the temple. I did not know what I was in for. When I turned the corner and I saw this, I just went, wow. This is completely different than all the other temples. And you've just got to check this out. Okay, this one takes the prize. This place is incredible. Just not even begin to describe it. The walls are filled with alcoves with Buddha statues all the way up, let's say 35 feet. You'll see some other ones I'm going to show you, and this one is just incredible. This is some of the delights and treasures that there are to see in Bagan Mynamar. It's something that you have to experience. The Indian Archaeological Institute has done a tremendous job of restoring this temple. It's almost too much to take in when you're there looking at it, to believe that this temple is 1,000 years old. I just kept looking up, and I didn't know what to videotape. You don't, you're shooting all over and it gets a bit jiggly, but you kind of get the idea. Right now I'm walking around the outer walkway. There's also an inner walkway, which I'll change over to in a moment. See, those are all alcoves all the way up. I estimate 50 feet anyhow, maybe 60. Some of the alcoves in the wall. There are golden Buddha statues. 3 stories up, and I think those are all Buddha statues at the top as well, all the way up. Different things. for Buddhists. So here you can see the difference above and below from the restoration that took place. Absolutely incredible. Here we have some Burmese women in the temple, the Shwesandaw Temple actually, and they are making thanaka. Thanaka, you can see the lady with the little log. I thought they were pesto logs when I got there, but they're not. Thanaka is ground on this stone, and it produces a creamy-like substance that the women and the girls of Burma use on their face as a sunscreen and also as a beauty cosmetic. So it's used both to beautify and to prevent sunscreen. It's also put on children, and boys use it a little bit, but not that much. The Tanaka has a cooling effect on your skin. So now we're going to go to the Mahagyan Monastery in Mandalay in the city of Amrapura. It is one of the three ancient cities that surround the city of Mandalay, so just on the suburbs. This monastery was built and established in 1914, and in all of Myanmar, Burma, the type of Buddhists that worship here and live here are called the Theravada Buddhists. Now these young men, monks, are lining up for their midday meal, which is served at 10:45, their lunch. It is the final meal of their day. Breakfast is at 5, and the monks get up at 4:30 to get their breakfast, and it's supplied by local villagers. So the monks, a large bell goes, and off they go. About 1,100 monks participate in the lunch and the breakfast, of course, that are studying here. It takes 7 to 9 years for a monk to complete his studies. This is the only real education system in the country of Myanmar at this point, is the monasteries, and there are also nuns that teach the girls the same idea, but that's for females. So this school is all for boys, and they are very austere as they line up. Local villagers and people that are visiting will put items on top of the bowls that they're carrying. You can see the rice bowls have lids, and there's treats, cookies, and things. It's considered very good luck and good karma to feed the monks. So people will come with candies and different things and put them on top of the bowls for the boys to enjoy. It is also not allowed to touch a monk's head. It's considered sacred. So the boys, when they reach the age of 21, they can decide whether they want to continue their life as a monk or enter back into Burmese society and live as a man, basically. So I had an opportunity to work with a monk, young monk, on his English in one of the monasteries, and that was one of the high points of my trip. So make sure, if you're going to go to Mandalay, that you take this in, because it is really something to see. You really feel like you're having a moment when you do this. I've included this now. This is not in Bagan. Bagan, this monastery is located, as I mentioned, just on the outside of Mandalay, so it's not in Bagan. But it was my last stop before I went to Bagan, and I wanted to share some culture that I experienced with you on this trip. Bagan, to me, was mainly going from temple to temple and seeing the incredible diversity and interacting with the people to a certain extent. Some did have services going on, and I always tried not to disturb the local people, keeping in mind these are holy sites. So coming up, we have another temple inside. This one has got writing all over the inside of it, which the other ones have not. And it's there from 900 to 1,000 years ago, and it's still there to see. So it's something to behold for sure. The last temple that I'm going to show you is called the Cursed Temple because of its history. So we'll get into that when we show you that, but stay to the end and see that one because it is the largest temple in all of the 3,500 temples in Bagan. It is the oldest temple as well. So really something you have to see to get your complete flavor of Bagan and the Mynamar. So here we are again back in Bagan. We're going to start with the Sulamani Temple. Look at the architecture of this place. It is absolutely stunning. The Sulamani Temple was damaged by the earthquake on August 24th, 2016, a 6.8 magnitude quake. Over 100 temples were damaged by the quake, which are now undergoing restoration. Well, I wasn't going to get through, so I decided to let the stampede go ahead. Oh my God, it's amazing. Look at these designs in the ceiling. This is not a random pattern. As with a lot of Mynamar work, it means something. These patterns have been recreated in art that you can buy. Quite often they mean the days of the week, the months of the year. So this is inside another one, magnificently large pagodas. This pagoda has the painting still intact from 11 years ago. All the pagodas have several entrances, each one mirroring the other, so it's very easy to come in and get turned around. That one, this hallway entrance with the giant Buddha, looks exactly like the one I just came in, but it's not. Most pagodas have 4 sides. A few have 5. As you can see, there's a staircase going up. That would have taken you to the next level. No one's allowed to go up anymore, unfortunately, which would have been an incredible experience. You can see, look at the painting, it's all still intact. Enough of it. It's a whole ceiling. Bit of a cacophony of humanity, of tourism, including a dog. There's actually a dog that just came in here. See if I can get through. The omnipresent stray dogs. They are everywhere here in Mynamar. They're like invisible, and they are, like I say, everywhere. You see them roaming in packs in the countryside. I've asked about them, and no one seems to have much to say. Looks like this one's just had some pups. So here you can see another entranceway. One thing I should mention, you have to do all this in bare feet. It sounds like, who cares? Trust me, it's going to 37 degrees today. You care. So you have to stay on anything white. As you can see, they've got these white marble walkways. If you do not stay on the white marble walkway, you fry. So, if you've never noticed, in a pizza oven, it's filled with brick. And what is the ground here? It is brick. It's their primary building material here. As you can see, the incredible architecture here. I think I'd describe this place as pagoda porn. Architect's dream. Look at this, just gorgeous. The old plaster that survived the ages, mounted to the brick, which is the substructure. As you can see, they've remounted some figures. It's just incredibly beautiful. But they've kindly put in some white marble so that the people don't burn themselves, because they will not let you enter without bare feet, period. So here's a market I'm going to take a walk through. Let's keep the camera rolling so you get an idea. Omnipresent market at every temple, of course. I looked at some of these white figures earlier. I thought they were carvings, but now I think they're just resin. Glad I didn't waste my money on one. Didn't look close enough, but thought about it later. They're too perfect. When anything's too perfect, you know it's coming out of a mold. That's these right here. Here we have wood carvings. They'll vary a bit, of course, as they're wood. The myriad of choices that you see in Bagan is incredible. These carvings are all done by hand. Amazing. Bagan itself originally had over 3,800 temples. Now I'm going to take you to the largest and the oldest, the Bagan Temple. The Bagan Temple is a Buddhist temple located in Bagan Mynamar, largest of all the temples in Bagan. The temple is popularly known as the Ananda Temple, built during the reign of King Narathu. Narathu, who came to the throne by assassinating his father, Alongstithu, and his elder brother, presumably built the largest temple to atone for his sins. Now, when you go into this temple and you look around, you'll feel like you're in an ancient medieval building in Europe. It seems so different than the other temples. The walls are all brick, the ceiling's all brick, the floor is really rough. Watch your step. I stubbed my toe because you're walking in bare feet again on the slate on the floor. And inside the temple, there are paintings of elephants and different things that are original. It was very difficult to photograph in here, I have to be honest. The humidity, it was later in the afternoon, got very, very high. My camera kept fogging up. But this is the only footage that I have, so I want to share it with you. This temple, the hallways are at least 60 feet tall. And you're serenaded by the sounds of bats as you walk through, because that's what's up there. I took a few still photos after, and there are thousands of bats in this temple. So if that makes you squeamish, maybe you should not go in here. But the temple itself has a really a look of being incomplete. There's no plaster on a lot of the walls, and that's because the temple was never finished. It was considered cursed because of the history of why it was built. King building it to atone for his sins, and he died before it was finished. So it was never completed. Inside the temple, there's an outer walkway that you can still walk through, but the inner walkway has been sealed up. Some people said they didn't know why. I did look into a bit. The conjecture is that it was done because the temple was in danger of collapsing. This temple from the outside looks like it could hold a football game inside. It is so massive. It stands out on the plains of Bagan. You can see it from miles. It towers above everything else. So for me, it was a real treat to go in and see it. It has not been restored on the inside that I can tell. I don't know if you could notice if it was restored or not. It is very rough, but it really gave me a great feeling. Here's the thing you need to know about all these temples. there's no electric lights inside in most cases. They may have a few decorative lights in the entranceway, just colored lights to sparkle things up. But in the hallways, there's no lighting. It's all natural light. So as you can see, these windows that are blinding my camera here are designed to shed light down the hallways, and that's all there is for light inside. All the temples are like this. There are no electric lights. They're designed that the openings provide the light required for the operation of the temple. So I thought, as a builder, I found that very interesting. There's the ceiling height. My God, it is so high. This place was kind of spooky. It felt like it was Dracula's castle, kind of, when you're going in there, you're hearing all these bats squeak, and you can see that they have mounted some lights up there, emergency lighting, I believe, maybe to come in at night, I'm not sure, but nothing was ever on. There were no lights on in any of the temples, and in most there were none installed. This was the darkest temple that I went into. That could be why the lights are put in here. In case of emergency, they can put them on and see what's going on. Perhaps on cloudy days it might be very dark inside. I was there on a beautiful sunny day that went up to 37 degrees, which explains why I have to constantly keep cleaning my camera lens. But this temple has a reclining Buddha, a sleeping Buddha they call it. It's small, but the locals really thought this was something special. The very final thing that I did in Bagan was I went to the tower. Now, you can take a hot air balloon here, a hot air balloon ride. It's quite expensive, almost $400. And the alternative to that is a tower that's been built by the government, that at the top of it has a beautiful patio with live music playing, drinks are served, and you get a panoramic view, 360 of Bagan. And I was there at sunset. As I was there, a thunderstorm was coming in because I was there in monsoon season. So you can see the lay of the land in the Bagan Plain. To picture over 4,000 temples here at one point, and pagodas and stupas, it is staggering. As you see the countryside, you can see smaller ones, little stupas, tiny temples, some so small you can hardly go in and turn around and come back out, all built for different reasons by the different kings. And this entire area was abandoned. They have a couple of theories. One is because of earthquakes. The other is that it coincides when the Mongols were going to invade, and the people here, they had no strength to fight the Mongols, so they just evacuated, and it stayed evacuated.